Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on when you're watching this video, but welcome back to Alnahudy Central, and in this update I'm going to be installing the bus wire. So at the beginning of the bus wire, at the start of the bus wire, as I said, it's not going to be a continuous ring, it's going to be from one end to the other. So we need to isolate those sections at the beginning and at the end. And as I described in my video about the DCC bus wires, I'm going to be using these chock blocks or terminal strips. Okay, dead simple to use. Cut them off. There's 2 screws. Okay, using a straight head screwdriver. You might be able to see in there, you can actually see the brass screw. Okay. Open it up and you'll see that the hole appears. Close it down and that clamps down onto the actual wire. Okay, but first of all you need to strip that wire. So let's get the end of the wire. Sorry, I've got a nasty cold at the moment. Using the wire strippers, strip the wire, slightly more I think. Okay, now there are all the strands that we're talking about. Okay, so if we spread them out you can see there's numerous strands in there. But what we do is twist that wire, keep it all neat and a better connection. Insert that into the hole that you've made, making sure that you don't go too far in but enough onto the clamp, and screw it down, making sure it's got a tight connection so that the cables won't fall out. And that's all good. So that will therefore keep it insulated from any of the cables touching it, which might cause a short around the layout. So I'm going to crack on and do that with the positive wire and then hopefully get some laid. So it's time to install the bus wire. Now I've been racking my brains as to how to do it. Some people can drill through the actual joists underneath the baseboard, or some people have it hanging loose, but I really ideally want it to be as neat as possible. So I've been racking my brains and I came up with this solution to actually hold the wire in place underneath the baseboards with these things. Now these were going spare in the garage, and all they are 15mm pipe clips. Now these were left over from a renovation house, and all they do is simply screw in, and I've got some 6x1 screws. They screw in from the bottom, and then it can be held in suspension underneath the actual baseboard. So my intention is going to actually screw these on each joist to keep a nice neat job underneath the baseboards, allowing enough slack so that if I do need to make any kind of repair work, the cable isn't taut. So what my intention is to drill all these. The beauty with these clips is that you can close them and you can open them. Once they're closed, all you need is a flat-headed screwdriver, and once it's in position you can open them back up, so that if I do need to do any repair work I can keep them open when I need to. clips are installed now. If I show you underneath, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a clip where the bus wire will start. As I said before in previous videos, it's not going to be a continuous ring, but the bus wires will start there, and they go all the way around on each joist. So hopefully that will keep everything nice and neat. Oh, that's my knees. And they go all the way around. And what I've done, excuse the tripod, is the cable will then go underneath the actual lowered section of the viaduct. And there's something slightly different on the main centre section, is I've actually doubled this up. Because this is the 8x4 baseboard, 8x4 foot that is, I've run a double loop around here, so if in effect it'll be an S shape. And then if we go, there's also some on the lift out section. If we go to the swing bridge, they will run underneath and then culminate and terminate up in the section there, which is right next to where the first one begins. So as I said in my previous video entitled about DCC bus wires, which I'll put a link up on the screen somewhere around here, the cables that I'm using are both from Rapid Electronics. These are the main two bus wires, and the bus wire, there's red and black, obviously for negative and positive. These are 100 metre reels, and the cable is 32 strands within the actual cable of 0.2 wires. This should be sufficient enough for the size of the layout to power the whole bus. So that's all the main bus wire laid now. Now I'm debating and toying with the idea of having a separate or another DCC bus wire for the upper section, just so I've got a greater continuity. The other option is that if I go underneath here, is I just run longer feeder wires from the main bus wire up into the upper section. But if you've got any ideas of whether a separate bus wire would be better, or even a connection onto this bus wire onto the upper section, or indeed just running longer feeder wires would be better, please let me know, put in the comments below. But I'm quite pleased with how that's gone. Now the important thing to remember with bus wires is you've got to keep it neat, but you've also got to have enough slack in the cables just in case you have any problems. So what I've done is over in this section I've looped it twice, so that in the eventuality that I do need to have a longer length, then I can always release one clip there to make it a longer length. Now if you join me under the baseboards, I'll show you what I've done down here. Right, so this is the 8x4 sheet underneath, and this is the area where I told you that I was going to double up the bus wire. What I've also done is made a split here, because the intention is to actually put another baseboard where those shelves are, so that way I can run another bus wire from those terminal blocks, those chock blocks, all the way down to that far wall and still have a continuous circuit. So all in all, I'm quite pleased with how it's gone, even if it was a pain in the bum to do. It always is when you're underneath the baseboards, it's always a pain in the bum. You're working on your back, screws fall out, land in your mouth, and then you choke to death. Lovely. You can see in this section where it actually finishes, the chock blocks, the terminal blocks, actually have a hole in. And if you cut it properly, then you can get the screw in there and you can screw them to the actual underside of the baseboard. And it just makes an overall neater job. That's what I've done at the beginning of the baseboard too. It's rather dark under this one. Let's see if I can get my torch. So it makes a very neat job. And I'm very pleased. Thought I'd show you a quick process on how I actually connect the, the splices into the actual wires. So if you think about it, this is your bus wire. Okay. And this will be your feeder dropper wire. Now, if you think about this is running underneath your layout, this is all you need. So a set of pliers, your splice, your bus wire, and your dropper wire. So the first one I always put in is the dropper wire. Now, to make sure this goes all the way through, just give it a slight push, and it will come out the other end. Your main wire then goes to the front, and that clips in. Grab your pliers, and with equal pressure on the splice, push down. And that splices the cables together. What you're trying to aim for is a flush surface on the top there. So those are securely in, they're not coming out. And then the clip round clips it into place. Now I know there's a lot of people on the internet and on the forums that say that splice is unreliable and you should use solder joints or other such methods, but I've seen a lot of people using these. They're also used in the automotive industry, so they can't be that bad. And the way I see it, worst case scenario is that if I do have to rerun a new bus wire because they're not working, all I have to do is disconnect the dropper wires and just run a quick bus wire around, and it shouldn't be too much of a problem. So as it stands, there's only one set of dropper wires which are connected to the track, and I'm quite happy with the power distribution just for one, let alone each section of track. So I think this is going to work out quite well. So what I want to do now is to promote some of the videos on YouTube that I've been watching through this month. The first
channel I want to promote is a channel called Strathpeffer Junction. Now, the description of this video is a channel for Strathpeffer Junction, a fictional 00 gauge model railway set in the mid-1980s in the Scottish Highlands. But his videos are very well put together, they're very detailed, and if you're looking for detailed videos about electronics, then this really does explain it well, and please go and check out his channel. I'll try and put a link to both channels in the description below or up on the screen. The next channel is a channel called Tony Doc Station. Now he's roughly at the same stage, in fact I think he's slightly ahead of me, but he is doing a step-by-step instruction on how to build a model railway. And again, it's a loft layout where he's charting the progress of his masterpiece. So please do go and check out Tony Doc Station. So thanks for watching this update from Alnahudy Central. Remember, you can always like and subscribe, and if you've got any tips or pointers or even constructive criticism, please put them in the comments below. And now I'm off to play with some trains.
Now.